All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show podcast, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies, or your daily dose of freedom. I'm trying to condense that, and I forget to do it because of this. That's too long. Anyway, having said all of that, guys, it is Friday, March 15th. 2024, and the breaking news, the biggest breaking news today is that Fani Willis will get to remain on the case on the case in Georgia, Trump's Georgia case, as long as Nathan Wade goes, basically. So Judge McAfee, Scott McAfee, decided that Fani Willis could stay. And frankly, guys, I had been hearing legal experts talk about this. I believe Jonathan Turley, I believe it was also Andrew McCarthy, if I'm not mistaken. But at least a couple of experts, maybe Jay Sekulow as well, the ACLJ, say that typically in something like this, when the evidence is so overwhelming that the DA is so unethical, this is a short decision. It shouldn't take 2 weeks to make a decision. Obviously, Judge Scott McAfee used to work under Fani Willis in her office before he became a judge. Apparently, his election is coming up soon. Her re-election is coming up soon. So that is sadly. This is politics, but I do believe that Fani Willis has been discredited. Discredited. All right, but unfortunately, in this era, it doesn't seem to matter that much, and so it's just frankly frustrating of where we are, because now you have someone that is clearly corrupt, someone that clearly lied under oath, provably lied under oath. Both she and Nathan Wade lied about when their affair started. She talked about having, getting cash payments back from, or not getting cash payments back, but paying Nathan Wade cash. So supposedly there wasn't a conflict of interest with him being paid by her office and then him taking her on luxurious vacations. It's absolutely astonishing. But this is where we are right now. So unfortunately, that is the breaking news. She'll get to stay, but I do think these types of cases do continue to embolden the president. I do believe our former president, Donald Trump, I think as this stuff continues to happen, more and more people have to look at this. I'd imagine, or at least I'd hope, in a normal world, you'd look at this stuff and just be like, man, this is absolutely insane. This is absolutely crazy. So that's where we stand. That's sadly where we stand. All right, moving on. There's a big story that I don't think is going to get a lot of press, and I want to make sure that I bring it to you before I bring you some more of the headlines for the day really quickly here. But this story is unbelievable, and frankly, I shouldn't even say that. I don't even know why I use the word unbelievable anymore. Um, this was from Breitbart. These are text messages, according to Breitbart, that show the CIA deployed personnel domestically to the Capitol on January 6, 2021. So the CIA deployed personnel to the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Text messages recently obtained by Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch obtained those records by a FOIA Act, the Freedom of Information Act. The CIA is generally prohibited from spying on American citizens, leaving that job to the FBI. All right. So, in fact, the FBI website states, according to the Breitbart, quote, the CIA collects information only regarding foreign countries and other citizens and their citizens. Unlike the FBI, it is prohibited from collecting information regarding U.S. persons, a term that includes U.S. citizens, resident aliens, legal immigrants, and U.S. corporations, regardless of where they are located. However, the text messages obtained by Judicial Watch, according to Breitbart, showed that, quote, several teams were deployed to the Capitol on January 6, 2021. That was after Judicial Watch sued the Justice Department for not responding to a FOIA request. The DOJ handed over documents from the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco and Firearms. The text messages were under the heading January 7th Intel Chain. One series of text messages says, two CIA bomb techs, quote unquote, are assisting with a pipe bomb seen on New Jersey and D Street Southeast, close quote. The location is where two pipe bombs were allegedly left at the RNC and the DNC headquarters. So you have CIA personnel texting about those pipe bombs. I mean, another series of text messages said, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. You can't trust any of these institutions. These striking records show that CIA resources were deployed in reaction to the January 6th disturbance, according to Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. It's the first time the CIA's role in the response to the events at the Capitol has been unearthed. All right, so the CIA obviously played a role in the J6. What is clearly not in all cases, not in every single case, but what was clearly a setup to set a narrative against former President Donald Trump and his supporters. So, Judicial Watch Director, Research and Investigations, Chris Farrell, told Salem News Channel, America First, we have the same questions you do. What is a national intelligence collection agency whose mission is overseas joint operating domestically with law enforcement at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th? All right, so I think this is a huge story. I'm going to try to get Chris Farrell or Tom Fenton on. We will try to make that happen. I know they're very busy people, but see if we can get them on to go into this. But it appears, I mean, the more and more evidence that seeps out, it appears that this stuff is completely it's a complete and utter setup. All right. So in other news, let me just share this with you real quickly. Senator Chuck Schumer, and frankly, I should have gotten the video to this because it frustrates me. But Senator Chuck Schumer came out and called for new elections in Israel. And let me get to the tip sheet because I just want to go over the summary really quickly here because this is an utter disgrace. Obviously, I'm not Jewish, right? But this guy is a disgrace to the Jewish people. I don't know how else to say this. I mean, he understands, he gets it. He understands that Israel is living under an existential threat, literally being in the center of so many Arab countries that absolutely despise them and hate them, and having to have Hamas literally inside of the Gaza Strip, along with Fatah and other terrorist organizations. But it appears to just be solely Hamas, at least at this point in time, that are attempting to destroy Israel, and Iranian proxy. The same is true with Hezbollah in the north. So he understands the pressures that Israel is under. And yet, for the sake of politics inside of the United States, he's willing to interfere in Israel's elections and say they want to try to remove Bibi Netanyahu from the presidency. That should be clearly up to Israel. What are we doing trying to get involved in another nation's elections? And they have the audacity to talk about election interference with Russia, which is a complete and utter hoax. But this guy is a complete and utter disgrace. Honestly, once AOC started getting so popular, and you guys all know this, he was scared that AOC was going to come for his senatorial seat. So he started inching left. This is a guy that doesn't have conviction. This is a guy that doesn't have character. He is just a political machine, nothing more, nothing less. Here's another headline, real quick, because this is, the left is absolutely trying to take us down. This is a war to make you poor. All right, 7.6% of Americans identify. I'm sorry, this is the wrong headline, but I'll go into this. 7.6% of Americans are now identifying as LGBTQ. That reaches an all-time high. So literally, just as recent as a few years ago, you had like 1 to 2% of the population identifying as LGBTQ. And now it's 7.6%. What do you think has brought that on? What do you think has brought that on? This is obvious social contagion. The lockdowns brought this on. You have apps out there like TikTok. I am one of the people that believes that TikTok should be banned. However, I do understand the fear of some that this leads to a slippery slope. So I do believe that, language would have to be so concise and specific when it comes to these bans, because big government will try to take advantage of that situation, use it as a slippery slope, and try to figure out what to censor going forward. So I do agree with the people like liberals like Matt Taibbi and classic liberals that say we have to be careful with this. They're absolutely right. But this social contagion of the LGBTQ, this is an onslaught, I believe, in large part due to the COVID lockdowns and in large part due to social media, because you've got so many kids out there that want to feel like they're a part of something. They want to feel like their lives matter. And if they're not going to church if they're not part of a, a nuclear family, if they're not part of a religious organization, or even involved in something like sports or something like that, where you can feel like your life matters, like your time matters, like you're significant in some way, shape, or form. Um, I it's just insane. It's just insane, and these numbers are going to continue to rise, in my opinion. And I think this is part of the depopulation movement of the globalists and of the elites and of the left. You want to get people to abort, Americans to abort, women to abort their children. You want to make more people, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, or whatever. So basically, you sterilize an entire group of people. You scare people into, the whole global warming hoax, and that way you continue to depopulate the earth while you have lemmings, fighting the fight for you. Another headline: Kamala Harris is going to visit an abortion clinic on a tour. Basically, this is just sickening to me. Regardless of how you feel, on a tour to promote abortion, that's what she's going to do. So she's visiting an abortion clinic on a tour to promote abortion. The only thing, this is just sickening to me. Not only does it advance a culture of death inside of the United States of America, but I mean, listen, given Kamala Harris's past, I can understand why she might be empathetic to this cause, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But this is absolutely scandalous, in my opinion. And this is why I tell the people on the right, I I know a lot of conservatives believe they're going to be able to run away from the abortion issue, but I'm telling you, you have an opportunity to stand up and put them on the defense, because as long as the left keeps us on the defense on social issues, maybe not in this election cycle, but they're going to be able to keep using it. Actually, they will use it in this election cycle, but they're going to keep using it, and they're going to keep using it because what the left does is they use the social issues in order to advance their economic issues, and everything else, right? I mean, in order to advance cultural Marxism, they use social issues. So if people on the right never combat them and never put them on the defense, the left is going to continue to advance. That's why it's such a silly argument that says, "Oh, we should let go of the social issues for the sake of an election." All right, you may win one election, but you're going to lose the country in the next two or three elections. Make up your mind. Tennessee government council wants to give illegal aliens legal status when they turn 18. No. But this is what's happening, guys. I'm telling you, illegal immigration, this is the great replacement theory. And it isn't a theory. This is a total, this is happening, right? Illegal aliens coming into this country. We know that Democrats want to use them and count their bodies for the sake of apportionment in their districts so they can get more congressional seats. It's as simple as that. Oh, by the way, just real quick, I do want to remind you guys to subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, and Rumble, YouTube and Rumble, and all things social media at the Carl Jackson Show. Please support our sponsor, My Pillow, Mike Lindell. Right now, they got a fabulous deal going on with Giza Dream Sheets, and actually, there's a plethora of deals going on. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and enter my name, Carl. Guys, if you're going to buy products anyway, don't buy from woke companies that hate America, companies that are cultural Marxists or fascists, colluding with big government. Go to mypillow.com, and if there's products on there that you want, they're on sale for my listeners. So Radio Podcast Square, click on that, enter my name, Carl, Carl, or give them a call, 800-858-0263, 800-858-0263. Okay, real quick, a Tennessee Government Council is asking the state legislature to give certain illegal immigrants taxpayer-funded college tuition payments, vehicle repairs, and legal representation. The Tennessee Youth Transitions Advisory Council, created by the legislature to help the state with foster care, called in its annual report for the Tennessee General Assembly to consider giving legal status to illegal immigrant children so that they could be qualified for extended foster care services. This means that illegal immigrants 18 or older would be given access to taxpayer-funded legal, educational, and health benefits. Health benefits. I'm sorry, legal children so that they could be qualified for extended foster care services. This means that illegal immigrants 18 or older would be given access to taxpayer funded legal, educational, and health benefits currently only available to state citizens. The proposal to extend foster care services to illegal immigrants comes as Tennessee has faced criticism over a shortage of available beds for care children, as well as reports that illegal immigrants released into the country by the Biden administration plan to make their way to the volunteer state. No, no. You don't give them legal status. You do not. The left is going to continue to press this. Make sure that you continue to press your congressman or local city councilman or senators. Do not fall for this nonsense because the left is going to continue to press it. Guys, they do not intend to send these people home. And let me tell you something, there's going to be a lot of weak kneed Republicans that have no intention of sending these people home. They need to be sent back home. That's where they're going to be best taken care of. All right. Female athletes are suing, including Riley Gaines, the NCAA, for allowing trans athletes to compete in female athletics. Good for her. I think this is a one of a kind. This sets precedent in doing so. But they're arguing basically this was a violation of Title IX, and absolutely they're correct. And so hopefully Riley Gaines and all of her cohorts will be able to win and save the day for female sports. If you like female athletics, you better get rid of this trans nonsense that's sweeping the country. It's absolutely insane. This is common sense. Men are obviously always going to be able to defeat women when it comes to and actually it's 16 women that have filed this groundbreaking lawsuit against the NCAA. I mean, this is just science. These people claim to be the most educated and no common sense, or they just bow down to the woke pressure. And you've got what's the guy Peter Schweitzer writing that some China billionaires or Chinese owned companies, I forget which, are behind much of the transgender movement inside of the United States of America. It's absolutely astonishing. The produce price index signals inflation pressures are not relenting. So the prices of produce are now starting to rise again. This, according to the New York Post, wholesale prices in the U.S. accelerated again in February. This is the latest sign that inflation pressures in the economy remain elevated and might not cool in the coming months as fast as the Federal Reserve or Biden had hoped. The Labor Department said Thursday that its produce price index, which tracks inflation before it reaches consumers, rose 0.6 of a percent from January to February. All right. Also, I'll get into this one later. West Point updates its mission statement from removing the model duty, honor, and country. I'm going to go a little more in depth in a later podcast with that, because one of the things that this gentleman said, what's his name, Army Lieutenant General Steve Gillen, who decided to change the motto. He said after consulting um, some some people within West Point, as well as what was his terminology, some exterior stakeholders or something like that, then they decided to change the motto. It doesn't change the mission, so on. The motto will still be there, implied or whatever. A complete and utter lie. These institutions are turning completely woke and they're reshaping it. They're changing out duty, honor, and country for Army values, which are totally, nobody knows what the heck that means. Those are just arbitrary. What are the Army's values, especially when there's existential stakeholders that are helping to decide what Army values are? Bernie Sanders is Senator Sanders is arguing for a 32-hour work week. That's insane. All that's going to do is make Americans fat, lazy, poor, unambitious, and unproductive. All right. So those were a bunch of headlines I threw at you. Just for the sake of time, I've got some issues that I got to take care of, personal issues that I have to take care of this morning. But I'll be producing another podcast over the weekend. And again, I'm going to go into this story a little more in depth. Also, the story with the CIA. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I appreciate you tuning in to today's podcast. Again, big stories of the day. You got Tap That Fani Willis that is able to stay on board against the Trump case. Guys, there is no justice, nor will there be justice unless we win in 2024. It's as simple as that. I hate to tell you. And also, the CIA deployed personnel domestically to spy on Americans and somehow participated in what I believe is the January 6th setup. Thank you, Judicial Watch, for discovering that. All right, guys, until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.